Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant.
What's going on, Scorpio? This is Boss Roy here with your reading for the month of September. We're going to start the reading with your energy. If you guys like this reading, please like, share, subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Let's get started. So I'm going to clarify your energy. I shuffle the deck. I pull from the Pocket Animal Spirit deck here. Then after that, I'm going to pull some cards from the Tarot deck. Also get some more clarity from the Fairy Oracle deck here. And then also ended up with the Hard Truth deck as well to get some further clarity. So with that, let's get started. So we have the fire ants here, the otter, the elephant, the beaver, the octopus, the whale, the buffalo, the crocodile, the hyena, the shark, and the panther. All right. So Scorpio, so I got three energies for your reading. Okay. So I'm going to start with the energy that's causing you the most problems here. So I got the fire ant, otter, elephant, and beaver. So that's one set of energy. Okay. So I'm going into detail about that. The second set of energy is going to be the octopus, whale, and buffalo. And your energy is going to be the crocodile, hyena, shark, and panther. Okay. So just getting started with the energy that's giving you the most chaotic trouble. So we're going to start with the fire ant here. So you have an energy that's going in your environment that's really just causing a whole lot of turmoil. They could be in a space where they're gossiping. I believe that the fire ant came out for you last month as well. So it's very I think it's like a good little thing that I'm sort of seeing as far as like the continuation of the narrative as far as what's going on in your environment. You're dealing with someone that has that emotional immaturity. And the reason why they had that emotional immaturity is because they look at you as a place of and person of confidence. Okay. You have the crocodile that came out. So that's someone that's easily able to contain all of their emotions. They're able to have wisdom in situations. And this person sees that as a threat. Okay. You could be dealing with a family member here. You could be dealing with like a coworker. But the thing about it is with this crocodile energy here, you guys are focused on your own beginnings, your own new beginnings. So you could be in a situation where you feel stuck in a work environment. Okay. So you just focus on like, okay, let me just do my job. Let me do my task. I'm looking at for new opportunities. It could be just a situation when you're in your family environment where you're just sort of like, stuck with dealing with, old personalities where they're not really growing. So you have your own boundaries set up when it comes down to your family environment. Okay. This energy here, the otter energy and also the fire ant energy here, this is someone that's just, like I said, they want to have that dopamine hit from you. Okay. They like to get validation. This person could be a people pleaser. Okay. So you're dealing with somebody who is like, around in the environment, they're looking to, engage with everybody that they see, and you're sort of contained. Okay, in your own environment. Okay, you're, like I said, nothing's wrong with you. You could be very pleasant, but you're just in a quiet space. And this person sees quietness as a threat to their, their overall, control pattern. Okay. Because I really believe that this is coming from someone that just likes to control the narrative, likes to control the environment. And you're just in this space, Scorpio, where you're like, okay, you know what? I dealt with this energy before. I understand that this energy is very juvenile. They're very immature. I don't want to put this person, closer than what they have to be. Okay. You're already aware as far as like what a energy that's this chaotic. Okay. You're probably seeing this person, they're prone to gossip, they're prone to like really have their emotions really chaotic in the situation. And you're like, I'm not trying to dive deep in this interaction. I see where this is. I'm not going to bother it. I'm not going to sort of have this in a place where it's having all my focal front of my energy towards this person, because you're looking at this person like they're not really a factor that you really want to have a heavy investment in. Okay. And this person, it's like they're creating a narrative of drama. Okay. So it's like when they see someone that's like, standoffish or sort of like contained to themselves, they have to have the narrative where it's like, okay, this person's not interacting with me. So, okay, this person must not like me. Like I said before, that that immature energy. Okay. So it's like, I'm going to create an environment to cause drama, to get on Scorpio's nerves, because I'm not getting the energy that I'm looking for in the environment. Okay. The otter can be very playful, very jovial. Okay. So this person could come in and they're like, okay, hey, Scorpio, what's going on? All this energy, all this positivity. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, you're like, I see you. Okay. That's the crocodile that's coming out here. You're like, I see you. I know where you are. I know how you handle things. I'm not going to be engaged. Okay. You see, you're a little bit messy. Okay. That's Scorpio. You're looking at that situation. You're like, you're a little bit messy. So I'm just going to do my thing here and keep it pushing. Okay. And this person is really just, like I said, they're fixated on your energy, Scorpio. And now you're getting in this space where you're turning into this hyena type of energy. Okay. This becomes more witty, more sarcastic, and more like, like you're basically like giving them like the heads up where it's like, okay, you know what? You need to get off my back. Okay. You're doing it in a playful way, but it's serious. I mean, like I said before, like that hyena energy is really more so like, someone that's like, a verbal, samurai, okay, in the situation. Okay, you know when to cut it down. Okay, you're just in a place where it's like, okay, I already gave it to you. I already gave you this reserved type of energy. Okay, I'm not gonna go any further with you, but now I gotta have to like turn on this hyena to sort of put you in a place or whatever in that type of balance. Okay, this third energy that's coming in here. So we had, like I said before, we had the octopus, whale, and buffalo. Okay, so this could be a significant other. This could be, like I said, your boss. This could be someone else in your family that you really look up to. And they're all about keeping the peace. Okay. One thing about the octopus, sometimes they can have themselves intertwined in people's offenses. And they're, sometimes they have to really work on separating the narrative as far as like what's going on, in the environment, and to really look at it from a very intellectual type of place. And I believe that this person has that capability of looking at it from like that practical lens. They had that ability to see things on a logical level, but sometimes this fire and energy can have them sort of jump in this emotional defense mode when it comes down to like, looking at the whole picture. Okay. They can sort of, but one thing about this energy, Scorpio, and I will say this energy has your back because it already knows that this person here has some immature ways. Okay. They project a lot onto other people. Okay. Because this person here, and also this could be something that you see too, Scorpio, as well. This person has a very wounded mindset. Okay, they could be stuck in the past. Okay, well, one thing about this elephant here, you see the tusk is broken on the left hand side here. Okay, and the thing about it is, I take from this imagery from this card here, this person has wisdom, the wisdom that they learn. They always have to learn wisdom the hard way. Okay, they always had to go about learning their life lessons in the hard direction. Okay, they don't know how to go about saying like, hey, you know what, let me just sort of take wisdom, let me take this warning from this person to say, okay, you know what, Scorpio needs to have that peace, Scorpio needs to be left alone. It's almost like if it's not going in my particular way, I have to put a light to the situation to sort of work on the interaction my own way. And sometimes when you see people in the environment and they don't want to be bothered, you just don't bother them. Okay, if someone's not in that space to engage, have a friendship, have a rapport, leave them alone. Okay. And I think that's where you're at, Scorpio, where you're like, I had too much things on my plate. I want to be left alone. If this person's like really connected to your family, they can sometimes like, be the peacemaker when it comes down to family dynamics. Okay. If this is a family situation, they try to tether themselves to understand all the avenues in the family dynamic, okay? Because they want to have a peaceful type of median between you two. And the thing about it is, so I will say this about this octopus here, when you see people who are having their own, different clashes, be aware to stay emotionally out of the situation. Okay, when it comes down to like really looking at other people's offenses, sometimes you deal with people who have that immature lens, and before you go into like decision mode about like, okay, this is how I'm going to process this issue or this argument or disagreement, you got to look at all sides of the spectrum, okay? And the thing about it is, Scorpio, I think a lot of times people, and this is what triggers you, a lot of times people misread you because you guys have this intensity, okay? And you like who you like, you don't who you don't, okay? And even for those who you have a respect for people, you have a respect for people to say, hey, you know what? I'm comfortable with you. I'm going to put you in my proper place, okay? I'm going to put you in the right type of boundaries, but you're not going to force a narrative or put on an air for someone that you don't want to engage with. And this is what this person wants, okay? They want to have it, like I said, it's coming from that place of control where they want to have that narrative where it's like, okay, you know what? Scorpio needs to cater to my needs, my emotions, making me feel good. And you're like, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. You're like, I'm not trying to be in a place where I'm trying to, you're probably trying to work, you're probably trying to grow in your own direction. You're like, I got too much going on to worry about somebody who is emotionally immature. Okay. And the thing about it is, going back to this, the octopus, this person here, I pulled the well for them as well. They understand, they're not intimidated by your depth, Scorpio. Okay. They understand this because one thing about, the well, it's a deep dive when it comes down to emotions, okay? This person knows that, okay, you know what? Behind Scorpio's emotions, this person is, like I said before, a lovable person, okay? But you're not going to change your views. You're not going to change your way of being, okay? You guys probably, like I said, went through your own particular trauma when it came down to dealing with personalities like this. So you're aware of the situation, okay, what this energy brings to the table, okay? And this person sees that, and you're able to explain this to this person in a way that's very logical because you already dissected this energy in your environment, okay? You're able to have that one-on-one conversation to say, hey, this person right here is very codependent, okay? Take a look at them, okay? Like you said before, like that crocodile energy here, they're like, let's look beneath the surface. Just like, before we go into, addressing the issue or, getting emotionally tied to the situation, okay? That's what you're telling this person. Before you get emotionally tied to this, look at their behavior. And this person's looking at their behavior and they're seeing, okay, that buffalo energy is from this person looking at their behavior. They're seeing that it's not practical, okay? They're seeing that a lot of their, behavior is very, chaotic because they are being easily swayed, okay? They're being easily swayed by their emotional immaturity, okay? And with this buffalo energy, it's like, you know what? They're like, okay, especially if you're like in a work environment, they're like, okay, why are you so involved with, talking with Scorpio, trying to run with this narrative here, when you guys probably don't even interact on a deeper level. Okay. You guys could probably say like, okay, you probably have like a mild interaction, maybe a few emails here or there. Okay. If this is like a family interaction, okay, you guys are cordial, but it's like, you don't see each other on the regular. Okay. You could be in two different states or, just in a place where it's like, okay, even if you're in the same state, the limitations with this person. But like I said, this person has a tendency to engage in drama. Like I said, with that elephant, that's why their test is broken. Okay. Because they don't know when to say, okay, you know what? Let me just not go on this continuation with, trying to have a lot of drama in a situation. Let me just back off, okay? They become so fixated on trying to fix the problem. You got that beaver energy right there, okay? And the thing about it is, Scorpio, you have someone that's looking at your overall, demeanor. They're like, you know what? I'm not going to have Scorpio jump out of pocket here, okay? Because like I said, I believe that this is causing agitation, and Scorpio, you're turning into this shark type of mode where you're circling around this elephant here, okay? Because you're like, okay, you know what? I'm starting to smell blood. I'm starting to get heated, and I think an energy like this, Scorpio, that immature energy, that codependent, controlling energy, it brings out your shadow side, okay? It brings out that shark energy, okay? And you're like, and this person here, okay, that's your advocate, that buffalo is seeing that you're being triggered in a situation, okay? So what they're going to do, okay, in a situation, because like I said, you already let this person know in a joking way, but also in a real way, okay? Like, leave me alone. I'm not playing with you. Leave me alone, okay? You already expressed that. This person is going to say, you know what, Scorpio, I got you, because I don't want you to get like this panther, okay, and be impulsive. I don't want you to be in a place where you're launching out or being aggressive towards this individual, okay? They don't want you to go into this panther type of energy, okay? They're taking the practical approach to the situation. The buffalo's represented by air. Okay, I'm sorry, buffalo's represented by earth, and they're taking that practical type of knowledge to say, you know what, I'm going to break down the knowledge to the beaver here. You don't, everybody in the world does not have to like you. Okay, if there's a respect level that's in the environment, okay, you know what I'm saying, there's no type of drama. This person's doing their own thing, they're in their own type of mindset. You know what I'm saying, you don't need to be fixated on trying to get them to behave a certain way or trying to get them to like you. You have your own core friends that are like, you know, that are your friends that you like. Everybody in your environment, in the work situation, we're here to work. Okay, it makes no sense to have yourself overly fixated, okay, on someone that does not want to invest on you further than having a civil relationship. Okay, this could be someone, like I said, a family environment where it's like, okay, you know what, you got, like, hey, you can't force a reconciliation. Okay, you can't force someone to open up to you more. You got to accept someone for where they are. Okay, and this, like I said before, this buffalo here is being very practical. It's pulling this energy aside and say, I see you. Okay, I see what you're doing. What you're doing is very immature. Okay, it's very immature. It's very, you know, you're trying to stir the pot, trying to have everybody in your mess, and I'm not going to have you get messy in this environment. Okay, you know, I don't want to have Scorpio losing their cool over you. Okay, for some toxic issues or toxic situations. You need to basically leave Scorpio alone. Okay, so Scorpio, this is what that buffalo is. Like I said before, a whole lot of energy going on. It's going to be a very, very emotional, triggering month, Scorpio. But always remember, like I said, being able to identify, you know, what this energy is. And like I said, you know, sometimes when someone comes to you in a way that it's like that fixated energy, sometimes, like I said, you know, that hyena, sometimes it could joke away the situation. It could still be that intensity. But I believe that, like I said, you know, moving forward, when you run into this situation again, that you lead with it from more so on that crocodile type of mentality, where it's like, I'm not joking with you. I'm telling you as far as, like, you know, how I perceive you, how I view you. And this is where this relationship is going to be. This is where this interaction is going to be. Okay. Laying it out logical. Okay. Laying it out in a place where it's like, okay, you know what? I'm not being disrespectful to you, but I'm letting you know this is how our interaction is going to be. It's not going to be all over the place. This is going to be more so very contained in our environment. Okay. It's not going to be, you know, you know, on my desk, or, you know, coming back and forth with me on petty type of issues. Okay. And this is something that this beaver has to learn, because they like I said, every lesson that they have learned in their environment, okay, they have to learn it the hard way. Okay. With that elephant, like I said, that tusk is broken. They always have to learn these lessons the hard way. And hopefully, like I said, that's not your concern, Scorpio, to be in that situation where you're emotionally being, like, you know, pulled from, you know, left and right. You got your own things to focus on. Okay. Because I think you guys have a lot of things on your plate. This is something that this person has to go about, you know, gaining that maturity in the future. Okay. We're going to just get a little bit more clarity, guys. And also, like, you know, some advice along the way. I'm going to pull from the tarot deck here. And also, I'm going to pull from the Fairy Oracle deck here. I'm going to pull 3 cards from there, and then I'm going to pull some cards from the Tarot deck as well. So let's get started. Okay, we got the Dark Lady. Okay. We also have the Soul, let's see, the Soul Shrinker. All right. Mike the Financer. Okay. So let's get started with that. I'm going to put that to the side. I'm going to get a little bit of the Tarot deck as well. Get some further clarity, and then we're going to end with the Hard Truth deck as well too. We got the Moon card here, 10 of Pentacles. We got the Hermit. We got the Devil. We got the Chariot. It's one more card here. Two of Pentacles. And let's see here. I want to take that Six of Swords. All right. All right, so we're going to start with the Dark Lady. This is you guys embracing that energy. Like I said before, you saw previously before, you had that shark, okay? You had that panther, okay? You're embracing that, your shadow side, okay? And this person's not used to that, okay? That energy, they're dealing with that firefly energy here. They're not used to that. That makes them feel very intimidated, but that's their own cross to bear. Okay. You got the soul shrinker. Okay. Look at that card. If that's not a hater, I don't know what is. This person's used to just stirring the pot, okay, being immature for no freaking reason, okay? They look at people that have that quiet strength and they're like, I gotta cause chaos, okay? And it's like, it's like they had this whole energy where it's like you have to like me in the situation. You have to appreciate me in the situation. And you like, no, I'm gonna be in my own lane. I don't have to like you. I can respect you, but I don't have to like you. I could go about, you family, we cool, but I don't have to like, being around you like that. We can have a rapport, but we're not gonna force this relationship. And the mind answer who's on your side, it's that practicality. They're looking at it. They're looking at it. They're like, oh, so you could be a fool. Okay. They're looking at this person. They're like, you could be a fool. Okay, I see you. Okay. They're taking a quiet approach too to look at this person in this environment and say, oh, you got some immature ways. Okay. You like to you're trying to shrink people or try to get people in a toxic type of web with you. Okay. You like to stir that pot. Okay. And the biggest thing about it is, so Scorpio, you guys could be, this could be a triggering thing for you because since you guys had that strength, that inner strength in you, and you guys you embrace that shadow side or whatever in your personality. Okay, that can throw a lot of people off. But this person takes the time to know you. They know your behavior. Okay, even like I said, your work environment. They know you. They know that. Yeah, Scorpio don't play, but you are very wise. You have a heart of gold. You're a listener. Okay, but you're not gonna bite your tongue in your environment where something ain't going in your direction that you don't like either. Okay, let's look at the tarot deck here. So we got the Moon card here. We got the Ten of Pentacles. Okay, we got the Hermit card. We got the Devil. Okay, we got the Chariot. We got the Two of Pentacles. We got the Six of Swords. Okay, this person's just trying to figure out what's going on with you. That's the thing, though. Like, okay, what's the secret? I'm sorry, let me pull the soul trigger. What's going on with you? Okay, what's on your mind, Scorpio? You like, I'm focused on my money, and that ain't got nothing to do with you. That has nothing to do with you. I'm focused on my money. I'm focused on my own energy. Okay, you guys could be in hermit mode where you're like, okay, I'm looking for jobs and opportunities. This person has the computer. Okay, she has the computer on the card right now. You like, listen, my old thought process right now is to get on my good little blanket, get my laptop on. I'm probably working on a project, probably looking for jobs. Okay, your whole mindset is not focused on somebody, okay, who's toxic in your environment, who's immature. You're not even there, okay? Because you see that this person is, like I said, they're used to that codependency, okay? They're used to controlling and they're used to having that codependency in those interactions, okay? And you're trying to get yourself away from the situation, okay? You don't have any time. You're seeing future thought process, future movement, okay? And you don't have no time to go back and forth to a Pentacles with somebody, okay, who's used to putting daggers in someone's back, okay? They're used to doing that. They're used to putting, stirring the pot and causing a lot of conflict. You're like, I have no time to deal with that type of energy. I have no time to deal with someone who has that emotional immaturity, okay? All right, Scorpio, we're going to end with the Hard Truth deck here. Gonna pull 2 cards for you just to get some clarity for you. So we got unaligned, challenges. Okay, so unaligned. This path will be full of unfulfilled the path will be unfulfilling and starve your soul. You'll encounter unnecessary obstacles and challenges meant to redirect you, okay? And I believe that you guys are feeling right now you're unaligned in your current situation. It could be with work. It could just be, like I said, with your family right now, where you're like, okay, you know what? I need to focus on getting out of my, you guys could be in a codependent situation yourself. You're like, I'm trying to work on my finances. I'm trying to work on my bills. So you're not even trying to put focus on a lot of the personal interactions and the petty type of interactions. You're focused on getting yourself back in alignment. Okay. Challenges. You're being pushed to repeat patterns for the sake of expansion. Reflect on past lessons and integrate by making better choices each day. Know better, do better. And I think this is this person right here. Okay, definitely. Like I said before, early on, they had that elephant type of energy where it's like they never really learned a lesson without it being chaotic, okay? And that's something they have to come to terms with for themselves, that everything doesn't have to be no battle. It doesn't have to be a battlefield. And that's something that comes with time and understanding, but that's not for you to really focus on, Scorpio, because you got your own stuff going on. And you got your own mindset to be in that hermit mode to get to your own goals, okay? All right, guys, this is your reading for the month of September. If you guys like this reading, please like, share, subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant. Who am I? I'm the greatest. Who am I? I'm getting paid. Who am I? I'm so flagrant.